Hey everyone, Robert here with Odd Random Thoughts. I thought I'd make another video today. Normally, or at least lately, I've been doing a lot of Linux videos, and I've had some questions from a few of my other videos on Illustrator and color separation techniques and stuff like that. And something came up. There was one user that was asking about how to convert a image from the internet into vector art form. Wasn't exactly how he asked, but I'm pretty sure that's what he's wanting to do. Got my coffee, of course. You know, video's not complete without that. So I thought I'd do a tutorial here on Adobe Illustrator and kind of go over some methods for that. I've found a site called openclipart.org, and I'm going to drag an image over here to Illustrator from there. Just a basic, looks like it's maybe a 4-color design. Let me go ahead and drag it over here, and I'll just drag it to the top bar here, and it'll put it in. As you can see, it's just a flat image. Okay, we can look at the layers here, and we can go to appearance, and it just shows you here that it's just an image. But we want to convert this to where we can work with it in Illustrator, because Illustrator works with vector points, so no matter how big or small we want to make our image as far as outputting it to a source, it's not going to lose any clarity because resolution is not really an issue. But when you have an image that's say a bitmap or a JPEG, this one is a bitmap, then you're pretty much restricted by resolution, because as you can see, we can get this one real big and see how it starts to pixelate. It starts looking blurry. So we'll bring this back down to size, but we want to avoid that issue, because say, what if we wanted to put this on a huge banner and we wanted to output to a big printer to print this banner? Well, if we tried to print this bitmap, it's going to look terrible. So that's the whole point in exporting images into Illustrator, is that you can work with vector points, and resolution no longer becomes an issue. So first thing I want to do, I can see my artboard back there is kind of small. Now I can hit Control S and hold Shift, and I can drag it down to size, or I can just come up here to Object, go to Artboards, and Fit to Selected Art. So now my artboard is the same size as my art. So one tool that I like to use is the Trace tool in Illustrator, and it does a really good job for like, as long as we're not working with like a 4-color process, like a photo, an actual real life photo of people, or of scenery or something like that. A picture like that, you're going to want to index in Photoshop into a 4-color process with your winter red, your lemon, and your black and your white. And I'll do a video, another video later, on how to index an actual photo in Photoshop and import it into Illustrator for screen print or whatever you want to do. But we're just going to work with 2D images right now. This one here, as you can see, we've got 3 different tones of brown. We have like a basketball orange, a rust, and maybe a oak tan. and then we have a black outline, a stroke going around these sprockets. So in total we've got 4 colors here. So you can either come up here to Window and go to Image Trace, and that will open up the Image Trace tool. I have it docked here in my sidebar. It's this little round looking globe thing here. So I'm going to click on that and we want to select our image, and as you see now it pops up and it gives us some image options for tracing. Now first thing that I usually do is I come down here to the preview and go ahead and click on the preview, and that's fine. We'll just click through that. Now right now we have our mode set to black and white. So this basically is already converted to vector format. At this point all we'd have to do would be to expand it, and if we didn't want the white border in here, if we just wanted the black, we could check to ignore white and we expand, and then we have our objects. But let's say we wanted to keep the colors. We can go up here and select color in the trace tool. It's going to take a minute. All this stuff usually does in Illustrator when you start working with images like this, depending on your computer of course. But right now it has it selected to 30 colors. Well, we don't have any gradients or anything like that in this. We just have 4 basic colors, so we can go ahead and bring our color selection down to 4. Okay, and that's gonna reprocess the image. It'll take it a minute there. Okay, and you can see that it didn't change much, so but we still have, you know, 4 basic colors here. Actually there's 5 because we have the background as well. So let's go ahead and move that back up to 5. The background's white. We haven't ignored the white at this point, so sorry if I was rubbing the microphone there. Okay, so you can see our oak tan is back now. It's going to process off what the original image's colors were. So now we have a few options here within our trace tool. We have paths. This is going to change how the paths fit, which is anything that goes from one anchor point to the next or within an expanded image is a path. So, or anything that divides colors is also considered a path. But if we want to make those paths tighter, and in this it has a lot of nice straight lines, there's some small curves but nothing major, we can increase this to get a tighter fit on those paths, and you can adjust it and kind of see what it does to the image. We'll just do it for test's sake so you can see. This is, I just picked this image at random when I started this video, so I might could have picked something a little smaller in size, or bitmaps are very large usually, but anyway, you can see we kind of got a little sharper point on our edges here, but the corners, this will also make an adjustment to almost like the paths, but makes all your turns like if you have something that's not quite smoothed off, that has little edges in it, you can sharpen out those corners. Again, you can adjust this and kind of see what it does, and you can pick whatever image you want to work with while we're doing this. So your image may be different, but and then of course the noise, the higher pixel rating you set it at, it's going to pull the pixels of that size from the image, so it can it'll ignore certain areas within a certain pixel size. So if you have a whole bunch of little dots in there, If you bring that down, that'll clean up your image. You bring it up to get less noise, or down to get more noise, and if you go from one end of the spectrum to the other, you can see how dramatic it is. But just play with those settings. There's some presets too, like you can have a high fidelity photo, but again, I don't recommend trace for a quality image, a high resolution photo or something like that. You want to index that. And then we have some other options, and you can play with all this stuff. The main point of this was to show the tool that you can use for this. Let's go ahead and go down here and ignore white. So this is going to get rid of our white background behind our colors. I'll let that process. Okay, so you can't really see anything, any change in this yet, but I'm going to close my image trace tool out, and this image has already been traced. Once we've applied the preview, the image is traced. So, but at this point you see it still looks like it's all one image, but if you look down here in the appearance, you now have it set as image tracing. And it has contents to that trace. So if we come up here and we go to expand, and we'll pick the fill and the object, we'll expand that, and you see the paths have now lit up around our object. So what we want to do next is ungroup. You can do that with Control-Shift-G, or you can go up here to object and go to ungroup. And then let's select this white area, and if we go to select same fill, that's going to get the white within these objects as well. You saw that they highlighted at that point. So let's just hit the delete key. Okay, so that took out all that white, all the backgrounds. So now all we have is our images, and you can see it's separated the paths and the layers of these objects. So now we can come in here and look at our layers panel, and we have all the separate layers of the sprockets. The black, we have each color on a separate layer, and you can do whatever you want with these. Like we could select this whole object and actually group it together with Control-G, and then we don't have to worry anymore about losing our outline. Another thing we could do is if we pick our direct select tool by hitting the letter A on the keyboard, we can select just the color, and let's say we want, let's see, in one of the other videos we made some swatch panels. So we'll open up our ink colors here, which is something that we would use for color separation. We'll dock it here. And let's say we want this this sprocket to be a light gray. So we can add that to our palette just by clicking on the color, and it adds it to our swatch palette, and it changes the color of that as well. Let's say we want to change the color of our outline. We can click on our outline, and if we want, we can select all the same fill color, and that's going to catch all of our outlines. And let's just say we want to make these a Kelly green. So now we've changed all of our outlines to Kelly green, but see, this path here has not been grouped together. So if we move it, we can go ahead and select the whole thing and group all of these together. Excuse me. And then we can move them around. I missed a piece there. And then we can move them around. We can organize them however we want. We can change the colors to all of them. We can come in here and grab our fill. If we want to just change the outline of, say, this one, we can actually grab these two objects and we can hide them, and then we can grab this and select all the same fill color, and let's say we want that one back to black. So we click on black, it adds our swatch, and then we can reveal our objects again, and you can see that these are still green, but this one's now black. So we can hide the one with the green outline, and let's say a good color for this one, let's just do a purple. So we have black, purple, and green. So you can see how you can do that. And if you just wanted one of these, say that you like this sprocket, but you don't want these other two, we'll just get those and delete them. And then you can work with this one and do whatever you want to. Let's say that maybe we wanted to add another image to this. So let's drag another image over here, and let's bring the size down, and let's go ahead and trace this one too. We'll select color, we'll leave that at 30, and we'll get a preview of this image. Another bitmap, so it's going to be big. Okay, so now we've traced this. So let's go ahead and expand it. Okay, and then we'll ungroup it, and let's just delete out our black background. And then let's say we want to pick the same fill, and we'll go ahead and add in a nice stroke to that. 3-point stroke, and we can do the same here and here, and we're just selecting the same fill as we go along and coloring those strokes. We can select same appearance. We'll just bring that one up to 2. We'll hide these. And I'm just, I have an action programmed in to select same fill, so that's what I'm doing here. And we can grab some more of these. And we can go ahead and put a little stroke, say 1.5. on those, and then we'll hide those. And see, we have a good bit of trash sitting around. We're going to get rid of that here in just a minute. Let's go ahead and add us a stroke around all of these, and then we'll clean up our artboard a little bit. And we'll just get our big pieces here. Okay, so we got all this extra junk laying around here, so let's just grab all that and delete it, and then we'll reveal our object again. Okay, so and we could even put some gradients in some of this stuff, like if we wanted to color that red, we could bring it down to our gradient panel, and we could add some nice highlights in here. We could even drop pink into this side. Okay, and we can go with a darker red, maybe a cardinal here. And we could even do cardinal to red. And we could do a 50% gradient there, you know, and you can kind of see how that works. If you want to say add a background to it, we'll drop that to the back, and and we could just size that in. And there's a lot of stuff you can do here with this, but you know, if we wanted to create something nifty, we can actually come down here, find our other group, we'll go ahead and drop it behind. And maybe we wanted to do a little effect here on the edges of our background. You know, you can kind of play around with this and figure out what you want to do. You know, just some small examples here of some stuff you can do, but the main point of this is is the image trace tool and how to use that to convert an image from the internet into a vector image that you can work with in Illustrator. So anyway, I hope this has helped answer some of the questions a little bit. Let me see, I'm going to look here and give a shout out to a guy here that actually asked about this. Let's see, looks like it was Trent Sparks is his name, his YouTube name. So hope I didn't do any harm in putting you out there, Trent, but anyway, I was doing this at your request, hoping that maybe this would help answer your questions a little bit on how to do some of this. Remember, if what you're wanting to work with is a more complex image, a photo or something like that, then we're going to have to get into Photoshop and index that image and convert everything over to TIFF files that we can bring into Illustrator into a 4-color process. So I'll do another video on how to do that, but hopefully this will help get everyone started on working with these images and stuff as far as converting them to vectors so you can do some neat stuff in Illustrator. So if it helped out in any way, give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And until next time, I guess that's all I've got for this one. So y'all take care, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye bye.